Hi everyone, my name is Amber and welcome back to my channel and happy Bookmas. I don't know which day we're on because I'm recording all of these out of order, but I imagine this isn't the first Bookmas video you will have seen. So I'm going to leave a playlist of all my Bookmas videos for 2021 in the description down below so you can go and check out the rest of them. I'm basically going to be uploading or doing a live show every single day up until Christmas Eve. And this is the next video, so without further ado, this is the Christmas song book tag. Question number 1 is name a villainous character you couldn't help but love. For this one I had to pick Dodge from Lock and Key. This is the third book, it's just the one I had to hand. Dodge is one of my all-time favourite villains. I don't love him as a person, as a character, but as a villain he is absolutely fantastic. Definitely one of the best villains I've ever read about. There's no like redemption story for him, but there is kind of a tragedy that happens to him way back before the events of this book happens, and it's kind of sad. If you've read this series or you've seen the show, I don't actually know how the show approaches his backstory, then you probably know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but please check out this series if you want a really good villain with a very interesting backstory. Question number 2 is which book do you most hope to see under your Christmas tree? I have a whole wish list, so it was quite hard for me to choose just one book, but I actually went for House of Leaves because that was a very expensive book. It's like £21 here in the UK, I think. I don't know how many dollars that is, probably like $27, $30, and that's very expensive, so I don't want to buy that for myself. So if someone bought it for me for Christmas, I would be absolutely thrilled, and I would probably put off reading it for quite a while because it's quite intimidating. Question 3 is name a character that overcomes major obstacles and learns to believe in themselves. So for this one I chose my dark Vanessa, even though it doesn't really fit the prompt. So she does overcome many obstacles, but Vanessa doesn't necessarily believe in herself by the end of the book, but at the end there is some hope that she might start to eventually, sometime in the future. Maybe she will start that journey. So this one is about a young girl called Vanessa who is, I believe, 13 or 14 at the start of the book, and she is preyed upon by her teacher, and he basically starts grooming her. It's very disgusting. I've said in every video so far that I don't like to call it a relationship, student-teacher relationship, because that's not what it is. He is vile, and she has to overcome that and learn that she was groomed and that it's not a healthy relationship like she perhaps was made to believe. I would highly recommend reading this book, by the way, if you're into dark contemporary fiction. It's very good, very dark. Question number 4 is which character do you think would be at the top of the naughty list, and which character do you think would be at the top of the nice list? So for this one I decided to choose characters from the same book series because I thought that would be, first of all, easier for me to hold up, and secondly, quite fun. So at the top of the nice list I've picked Arlie from the City of Brass trilogy. He's just such a lovely character and he goes through a lot. This is the third book in the trilogy, by the way, because I didn't want to mess up my display here. But he is absolutely adorable. He loves reading and learning. He's a bit annoying in the first book and also in the second. Well, I think he's annoying throughout, but in like a really cute way. I feel the same way about Dara as well, in case you're wondering. Speaking of Dara, I was tempted to put him at the top of the naughty list for what he did in this trilogy. Without spoilers, he did a lot. But I decided to actually go for Manjay because she was, yeah, again, I don't want to spoil anything because again this is the third book in the trilogy, but we learned some stuff about Manjay and she's maybe not the nicest person. I love this trilogy, by the way. If you haven't read it already, then I don't know what you're doing. I'm tempted to make it a requirement to have read the series before you subscribe to my channel, but be a bit mean, I think. The next question is which book just melts your heart? For this one I chose A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's not like a cutesy book, and it's probably a bit weird that I'm holding this up for this prompt, but the thing is I love the characters in this, and this is a YA relationship that I don't actually hate. I think the main couple in this and the rest of the trilogy are just wonderful together, and if my heart could melt, they would melt it because they're wonderful. And I also really like the main character and I love her family. She has parents and a brother and a dog, and their relationships with one another is just lovely. Not so much in the third book in the trilogy, but in the first 2 I just loved reading about them. So it's very heartwarming to me, even though this is a thriller book about murder. Question number 6 is choose a book that takes place in a country other than your own. So I've chosen 2 for this because I have 2 favourite books for different reasons. The first one is 1,000 Splendid Suns. This one is set in Afghanistan in the early 2000s for the most part, and it's about 2 women who are brought together because they have to marry the same man for 2 different reasons. And I loved reading about their relationship together and how they looked after one another. They hated each other at first, but it was honestly wonderful to see them grow. And the other book I want to recommend is Homegoing, because this one is set partly in Ghana and it's one of the best books I've ever read. So I love generational fiction, stories that follow different generations along the same theme, or you get to know kind of an earlier generation, then you follow the newer generation and you can see the comparisons or differences, similarities or differences rather. And I love this book so much. I don't own a copy yet, but I'm going to buy it, I think, for my birthday or for Christmas because I love it, and I would love to reread it as well because Yazi is so talented and I love this book so much. Question number 7 is, which holiday themed book do you use to spread Christmas joy? For this one, I didn't really know what to choose because I don't really read holiday themed books, and before all of the crap that went down with the author, I would have chosen Harry Potter, but now it's kind of put a sour taste in my mouth, so I don't think I could enjoy it around the holidays like I would have before. But at the same time, my nan, who has since passed away, she was basically like a mother to me, she did buy me all of these books, and that's the reason why they are very heartwarming still to me, and they mean a lot to me because they just remind me of Christmas. And she used to buy me a lot of Harry Potter themed Christmas presents, and just anytime I think of Harry Potter I think of her, which is nice but also quite annoying because of JKR. Question number 8 is, which fictional character would you choose to spend the holidays with? For this one, I've chosen Scythe Curie from Scythe. She's actually more in the second book, but I don't own that yet. I don't really know why I chose her. I'm sure it sounded like a good idea at the time when I was thinking up these answers, but basically I think she's very impressive as a character for one thing, and I think she'd just be really fun to be around in the holidays. She'd also be very sensible and very wise, so I can imagine getting very drunk on like mulled wine and overeating and just discussing all sorts with her because she's just a very interesting character, so I've chosen her. Question number 9 is, which book that you didn't enjoy would you sacrifice to a fire to warm yourself up in the cold? So for this I've chosen Serpent and Dove because it was honestly trash. I gave it 1 star. It's the worst book I've read probably this year. And I've also chosen Surrounded by Idiots, which is a self-help book kind of on the business side of things. It's about like working with different personality types, and it was honestly just a load of rubbish, so I DNF'd it and didn't finish it, but I would definitely sacrifice that one. And finally, question number 10 is, which book do you think everyone should read? For this, I'm going to choose The City of Brass because I love it. But honestly, most of these books that I've mentioned today, I would recommend you reading because I think you'd enjoy them depending on your personality type for various different reasons. So if you're into fantasy, then I would recommend The City of Brass. Even if you're not into fantasy, I think this is a good starter book actually, especially if you're transitioning from like YA to adult, because this is kind of like middle of the road. We've got 1,000 Flown Suns if you want something heartbreaking and set in a different country. Scythe is actually a very good book series. It gets better as it goes along, I promise. If you didn't like the first book, then you might like books 2 and 3. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a very good YA thriller series, one of my all-time favourites, and the author is very talented, and this series is also set in the county that I live in. I'd also recommend My Dark Vanessa, like I said, if you're into darker fiction and you're not going to be triggered by it because it's very triggering. And then also Lock and Key if you want a graphic novel horror series that is also very dark. So those are my answers to the Christmas book tag. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back tomorrow with another Bookmas video. Bye!